Very much, Deputy Speaker, and I hope you too loved the platitudes of the member from Fenner. Typical Labor on this issue of climate change. We talk technology, they talk taxes. We talk policy, they talk platitudes. We're all about action, they're all talk, Mr Deputy Speaker, and we've heard it yet again from the member for Fenner who leaves the chamber now, I'm sure very embarrassed about the words he's just spoken in this very chamber. Now, you see, Deputy Speaker, the Labor Party, if I'm not mistaken, started this term of government wanting to declare a climate emergency. A climate emergency. Now, that emergency is so great that the first action they want to take is focused on 3 decades from now. That's how big an emergency the Labor Party put on climate change. They have a vision for 2050, Deputy Speaker. What are they going to do this year? Don't know about that. Next year, don't know about that. Policy for the next election, don't know about that. How about 2030? Don't know about that either. The Labor Party are full of platitudes. They talk big. They love talking emotion. They'll talk about climate emergency, but it is shallow. They are empty promises, Deputy Speaker, because they have not one policy plank for the next 30 years. Now, Deputy Speaker, I don't know about you. You're a young, good-looking bloke. For me, I'm not going to be here in 30 years' time, I'm afraid. You might be. Maybe all the members of the Labor Party will be. Maybe that's why they're so fixated on 30 years from now without any merit whatsoever to a policy. Today, tomorrow, the next year, zip. We hear nothing. We're in footy season, as you know, Deputy Speaker. So maybe for those of us to make it a little bit more clear. It's footy season, grand final. Are you focused on being on the field and tackling climate change with Team Australia? You're not focused on that. You're not even focused on next season. You're focused on the season of 2050. If you looked at the scoreboard today, what does it tell you? It tells you that Kyoto 1, done, tick, delivered. Kyoto 2, done, tick, delivered. As for Paris, absolutely on track, shall be done, shall be ticked, shall be delivered. The National Energy Market, Electricity Market, the NEM today, delivering the lowest emissions in its history. In its history, Deputy Speaker. We have $18 billion committed to low emissions technology, which shall unlock an extra $50 billion from states and territories in the private sector. They don't want to look at that scoreboard. They don't want to look at the scoreboard of climate change achievement in Australia because it says Team Australia is delivering. And they're not on the side of Team Australia, Deputy Speaker. They have vacated the field, ashamed of the fact they are so disunited in this key policy area. They have no unity whatsoever. And why would they? When the last time they had a policy, promised to strip Australian jobs, promised to cut over 400,000 jobs from this economy, promised to cut $9,000 from average wages. An absolute disgrace from the Labor Party on this topic. And yet the member for Fenner, the shadow assistant treasurer no less, just stood in this chamber and tried to lecture this parliament about climate change and the virtues of Labor's approach. Now, I haven't heard the member for Fenner on this topic before. He's known to me and probably most people in this place as the warrior for the industry super funds. That's what his usual championed cause is. Well, the Australian Financial Review today has an article about the Australian industry super funds, the Australian Council of Superannuation Investors. They have called out ASX companies who have made a net zero commitment to 2050, saying that it is not good enough to make a 30-year commitment and then leave the detail for later. Maybe the member for Fenner and those of the Labor Party should be listening to the very industry super funds they support so vocally. It is very clear they have vacated the field. They are not prepared to tackle climate change front on, and if they were, they'd have the courage of their convictions and name a target for 2030.